Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's 5:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I just downloaded my first video, and I look it over after it's been downloaded. I talked in a pinned comment. There was one phrase that bothered me that I used, and it might have come out wrong. Nobody had commented yet or anything. I think nobody had barely watched the video yet, but I didn't like the way it sounded, so I talk about that in my pinned comment below that video. That's not what this is about, though. I was thinking about why some people feel the way they do, and life experiences. And I had completely forgotten about this. I'm 54 years old. I don't know, and I did use a lot of drugs through my life. I don't know if it's affected my memory, but I did forget about this. I spent 4 months in a detox and then a rehab. A big hospital here in Hartford, Connecticut, an inner city hospital. It was the only one that was available at the time. Not that I had any choice or anything, but I bring this up because my roommate for almost the whole 4 months I think he was 63 at the time, Romaldo. He was a 63-year-old black Panamanian man. He was an alcoholic, and he was my roommate for 4 months, and we became best friends. I loved the guy. He was on the shorter side, and the thing about him, he had a white afro. He was a black Spanish Panamanian man with a white afro. He had a bit of a Jamaican accent, I would call it. Not being familiar with the different accents down there. When I say things, I don't mean to sound like I'm stereotyping, but he had a Caribbean accent to me. That's what it sounded like. So we spent a lot of time together, and I love this guy. I have fond memories of him. We had, in between meetings, we had a lot of time on our hands, and I remember him teaching me to count in Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. I kind of forgot him now. But every day he'd teach me more. He'd teach me Spanish, and I loved it, man. He told me about Panama. He told me about his struggles and the DTs and stuff he went through with alcohol on a daily basis, and we shared a lot of stuff. His bed was not even about 6 feet away from mine, 8 feet away from mine. I lived with this man for 4 months, and we became best friends. I had forgotten about this. I started thinking about Spanish, and the number thing came to my mind, and I remembered him. By the end, when I say good best friends, it was the kind of relationship where he would give me hell. I remember us arguing almost like a married couple. He would hear me say something, and he would call me on it. That I was being rude or insensitive. I wasn't quite the same person I am today that I was then. Stuff with girls. I remember because it had both girls, men and women, on this floor. So there was opportunities for recovery romances, I guess you would call it, and. Back then, I spent a lot of my time, a little too much time, pursuing these interests. And I remember him lecturing me on it. He was a good man. I remember him not talking to me for almost 2 days because of the way I had treated, the way I'd spoken to a woman, or the way I treated her. I was cold. It's a fond memory, and I had forgotten all about that until to be honest with you guys, I have been in and out of recovery and detoxes over 13 times, and this was almost 14 years ago. So some of them they tend to blend together. This is how, but something clicked this morning, and I remembered him, and I think it's times like that where when you're sleeping and bedding down and using all the same facilities as a man, sleeping 6 feet away from you for months, day in, day out, maybe like the army or in prison, I think you get you realize you're all, I think you either become friends or you kill each other, probably. But we became friends, and I got a lot of respect for, he told me about him growing up and, how he grew up being a Catholic, a Christian and everything. And that's another example of how I came to, I've always been open-minded my whole life, but that 4 months was a big teaching experience for me. It's one of the fondest memories I have. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Romaldo, I hope he's still alive and well somewhere. That was over 14 years ago when he was 63, so I hope he's still out there and alive and well. I wish I could talk to him today. Anyway, just a little insight into me. All right, you guys have a good Thursday.